Hey everyone, I'm here at GIAM with Tasneem Kalolwala, who is the Executive Director of Internal Audit from Bridgestone Americas. Taz, we've been talking a lot the past couple of days about internal audit strategy and really thinking about how we add value to the business and to our stakeholders. Can you talk a little bit about how we go beyond assurance and compliance and how you're thinking about it at Bridgestone?
Sure. So, internal audit does a lot of work from a rear view perspective to be able to add strategic value. What we really need to start doing is, first of all, we need to prioritize high risk projects and then tie it to the strategy of the company. So, a lot of times we do risks assessment, build our audit plan, but don't ever tie it to what are the company goals for this year, for the next 3 years, and how do we ensure that we're looking at the right things based on what we want to achieve at the company, not just for the department. The second thing that we need to start focusing on is predictive analysis. So we did talk a lot about DA, and a lot of audit teams are trying to use DA in their audit work. However, what we want to start doing is look at DA from a risk perspective and make sure that these risks never materialize. So whether we're looking at risk where it failed, like the controls failed, we need to make sure it doesn't happen again, not just fix what happened. And then the second thing is we need to look at predictive analysis from an advisory perspective, right? So we've talked a lot about changing our role and doing different things. One of the things we can do is advise in key projects like digital transformation, ensure that we are in there with the fraud risk management and make sure that we are working with our sector really well.
And from that perspective, Taz, so there's also been lots of talk about independence and objectivity and making sure that as internal audit, we still remain objective, but we're providing value. Can you talk a little bit about how you get comfort about how you're providing advisory and where the line is on independence?
Right. So from an advisory perspective, the first key place we need to focus on is clarify our role. So as we start embarking on this new journey of being in the advisory space and not only the assurance space, we need to talk to our audit committee. We need to talk to our executives and ensure that everyone is aligned with what is our role and what is our scope. So make sure that everyone knows the expectations, the deliverables, and start from there.
Yep.
The next piece that we need to focus on is a lot of times when we go into the advisory project, we start fixing things. So we want to implement internal controls because we see that there are gaps in the process. We need to take a step back and make it more risk focused. So we need to educate the business on risk, guide them with risk perspectives, and help them understand the frameworks that we use. The next piece we need to do is when we do give them risk-focused recommendations, we need to make sure that that is more around mitigation of the risk rather than operational execution, right? And then the last piece is if you really have to segregate advisory and assurance, then I would suggest use third-party consultants. They do two things. Getting somebody in and providing the subject matter expertise is very critical because you're building that brand for you and your team. And your team can build that muscle and understand what is the expectation as well. So I believe if we do all of these things, we will remain more objective and still add value.
I love that. So setting the mandate, making sure everybody's aware of where you're operating and how, making sure that there is independence and potentially bringing in subject matter experts, and then teaching management to fish.
Right.
Having them think about risk and how they would manage that risk appropriately and collaborate with you to do so.
Right.
So thank you so much, Taz, for your time today, and we'll talk next time.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, everyone.